Imagine walking into a room and without saying a single word, making people slow down just to understand what it is about you. It isn't beauty, it isn't loud confidence, it's something far more rare, a quiet force that some call presence, and the Stoics called self-mastery. While most people exhaust themselves trying to be noticed, truly magnetic individuals do the opposite. They don't compete, they don't show off, they don't beg for attention. They simply exist, and the world pays attention anyway. What makes someone like that so attractive? Not tricks, not charm, but inner habits, practices that shape your energy until you become someone impossible to ignore, calm, rooted, deeply comfortable in your own skin. Today you'll discover the 6 Stoic habits that make any person naturally attractive, not because they try to impress, but because they quietly command respect. When you master yourself, your presence speaks louder than anything you could say. The ancient Stoics believed true beauty does not come from appearance, but from the discipline of the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a tranquil soul is enough to illuminate the face. Epictetus taught that no external ornament can surpass the dignity of someone who governs their impulses. Seneca reminded us that a balanced character awakens a silent admiration, the same awe we feel in front of something profound. They understood that magnetism is born not from showing yourself to others, but from being sovereign over yourself. And these teachings are even more powerful today, in a world full of noise, distraction, anxiety, and constant comparison. When most people are scattered and restless, someone who is centered stands out effortlessly. Someone who is fully present becomes unforgettable, and someone who is grounded in inner strength becomes irresistibly attractive. Habit 1. Truly listen. In a world where everyone wants to speak, very few know how to listen, and that is exactly why real listeners become instantly magnetic. Most people hear only to prepare their reply. Their mind is already busy creating arguments, forming opinions, defending their own point of view. But the Stoics believed that the mind can only understand when it is still. Epictetus would say, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we may listen more than we speak." Listening is not about waiting your turn. It is about offering presence. When you listen with your full attention, the other person feels seen without judgment, without hurry, without interruption. Think about how rare that is. Think about how deeply you relax when someone truly listens to you. There is a sense of safety, a softening, a feeling of being valued. That is why genuine listening is so attractive. Your silence becomes comforting, your calm becomes inviting, your attention becomes a gift. To cultivate this habit, slow down during conversations. Look into the other person's eyes. Breathe before responding. Try to understand their meaning before forming an opinion. As you practice, you will notice people leaning in, trusting more, opening up, because your presence becomes a place where they can simply be themselves. Habit 2. Cultivate inner peace. Some people carry a small piece of silence wherever they go. Even when the world around them is chaotic, they remain steady, as if anchored by something deeper. That calmness draws people in. Serenity builds trust. Peace is attractive because it is rare. For the Stoics, peace did not mean avoiding problems, but refusing to let chaos rule the mind. Marcus Aurelius compared the mind to a still lake. When the water is calm, you can see everything clearly, but when the water is disturbed, everything becomes distorted. Your mind works the same way. When your emotions are constantly shaken, you lose clarity. But when you learn to pause, breathe, and release what you cannot control, your inner waters settle, and you become someone who brings quietness into noisy rooms, someone people want to be close to because your presence makes them feel safer. To cultivate this habit, take a few minutes each day just to sit with yourself. No screens, no noise, just breathing and noticing. This small practice changes how you carry yourself. Your voice becomes softer but stronger. Your posture becomes open. Your gaze becomes steady. And suddenly, you are no longer affected by every storm. You become the shelter others naturally seek. Habit 3. Speak with purpose. Some people only need to say a few words, and the entire room falls silent. Not because they speak loudly, but because their words carry intention. Meanwhile, many talk endlessly and say nothing of value. The Stoics believed speech should be conscious, not reactive. Epictetus advised, "Be silent or let your words be worth more than silence." When you stop speaking to impress and begin speaking to communicate truth, your language changes. Your words become slower, clearer, more meaningful. People who speak with purpose do not rush. They do not exaggerate. They do not compete for attention. Their confidence comes from alignment, not volume. And because their speech is coherent with their actions, their voice carries weight. To develop this habit, ask yourself before speaking, is this helpful? Is this honest? Is this necessary? Over time, you will notice that people listen more intently, not because you demand attention, but because your presence has already earned it. A purposeful voice is magnetic because it reflects a peaceful mind. Habit 4. Face adversity with courage. Strength is not revealed when life is easy, but when everything begins to fall apart. This is when character becomes visible. This is when true magnetism emerges. People who face challenges with dignity inspire without trying. They show that life may be hard, but the human spirit can be stronger. Marcus Aurelius taught that the obstacle becomes the way. Every difficulty carries a lesson. Every fall carries the potential for wisdom. Stoic courage is not the absence of pain, but the refusal to be defined by it. Think about the individuals who most impressed you. They were likely not the ones who never struggled, but the ones who struggled and remained calm, compassionate, and resilient. To cultivate this habit, shift the questions you ask when facing hardship. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" That simple change transforms suffering into growth. And growth is attractive because it reveals depth, strength, and self-awareness. People who endure without bitterness become living proof that the human heart can break and still remain open. And that kind of courage is unforgettable. Habit 5. Value integrity over approval. One of the main reasons people lose their natural magnetism is because they try too hard to be liked. The more you try to please, the less of yourself you actually show. The Stoics believed integrity is more important than popularity. Marcus Aurelius reminded that the opinion of others is wind, but personal virtue is a foundation. When you live according to your own values, your energy changes. You begin to radiate authenticity, something the world is starving for. Authenticity cannot be faked. It comes from consistency. It comes from making decisions based on who you are, not on who others want you to be. To cultivate this habit, practice saying no when your values are at stake. Keep your promises. Honor the truth even when silence feels safer. This will not always make your life easier, but it will make your presence stronger. People respect those who do not bend themselves to fit every expectation. Even those who disagree will admire your steadiness. Over time, you become someone whose presence commands trust without demanding it. Habit 6. Focus on growth, not perfection. Modern society is obsessed with perfection, polished images, flawless performances, curated lives. But perfection is not attractive. It creates distance. What truly attracts is humanity, the courage to be imperfect, the willingness to learn, the humility to evolve. The Stoics never sought to be flawless. They sought to be better than they were yesterday. Marcus Aurelius wrote that if you fall, rise. The victory is in the rising. Someone who is always improving radiates a unique type of energy, humble, persistent, inspiring. People like that do not pretend. They do not hide their flaws. They use them. To cultivate this habit, stop asking yourself if you are perfect yet. Ask instead, am I improving from yesterday? See your mistakes not as evidence of failure, but as proof of progress. Every scar becomes a story of courage. Every lesson becomes a step forward. Someone who is growing becomes magnetic because growth is alive, dynamic, full of movement, and people are naturally drawn to what is alive. If this message is resonating with you, take a moment to subscribe to the channel Stoic Spring. Doing that strengthens the habit of caring for your inner peace and helps you build maturity day after day. In the end, all these habits point to one truth: self-mastery. When you learn to master your mind, you no longer need to impress anyone. Your calmness impresses. Your consistency impresses. Your silence impresses. The Stoics taught that we cannot control other people's opinions, but we can always control the way we choose to live. True attraction comes not from trying to be noticed, but from committing deeply to your own growth. The beauty that comes from within does not fade. It does not depend on trends. It does not need validation. It is built on timeless principles and daily discipline. If this video spoke to you, write in the comments, "I choose growth." This is more than a sentence. It is a promise to yourself. Like this video, share it, and subscribe to Stoic Spring so we can continue walking together, building the inner strength that makes a person not only captivating, but deeply respected in a noisy world.